Hey everyone, I'm Ann. Welcome back to another mini episode of the Let's Get Naked podcast. This series that we're doing is, what is it titled? The Naked Truth About Happily Ever After. And I'm here with Cameron, my person. I am going to start with a disclaimer. Before we get into this topic, I'd like to issue a gentle, loving, very necessary warning. Mom, nieces, extended family, church friends, which I don't go to, everyone knows, this episode is not for you. I repeat, this is not your episode. Go ahead and hit pause, go bake something, go pray for me, whatever feels right. Everyone else, buckle up. The title of this one is Sucking Dick, literally and figuratively. Let's get real. If you're no longer into your partner emotionally, energetically, or physically, you don't stand a chance. Attraction matters. Desire matters. Playing around with maybe it'll come back on its own is delusion. And yes, I mean sucking dick in the literal and figurative sense. Because when you genuinely love someone, you want to engage with them sexually, emotionally, spiritually. You don't dread intimacy. You don't avoid connection. You don't treat physical touch like a chore on the damn to-do list. If that spark is gone, you have two choices. Number one, do the work to get it back, reignite the curiosity, heal the resentment, reconnect with their humanness. Or number two, stop dicking around in a marriage you're no longer actually in. Staying in a sexless, connectionless marriage while pretending you're fine, that's emotional fraud for both of you. Desire is not optional. Intimacy is not optional. Attraction is not optional. If you're not into your partner anymore, figure out why and fix it. Or free both of you from the slow death of pretending. So, we were talking about this in an episode that I recorded with Belinda and Casey yesterday, and I don't know why this came to me, but it felt like almost a barometer of how good your relationship is going if there's dick sucking happening or if it's not. And just so everyone who's listening, when I say sucking dick, I mean going both directions, right? I'm just using that as an umbrella term.
Right. I think the figurative sense, the cool kids call it glazing nowadays.
Oh, excuse me. God, thank God we have kids.
So you can use that
glazing,
also, right?
Okay.
And you can be cool too.
Okay, so if you're not glazing one another anymore, did I use that right?
Yeah, that sounded good.
Okay, excellent. If you're not glazing one another anymore, figure out why. Because I think, Cameron and I have been married for a couple of decades plus, and we have obviously in those years gone through ups and downs. And you can go back and look at the quality of our relationship and gauge it based on the glazing that was happening during that time period. That does sound nicer. Thank you for that. It does. Well. Mom would be, Mom could even actually listen to this episode as long as I didn't start out with the sucking dick thing. But anyways, so you can go back and look at that. But I think I find so many different people in marriages where they're not really into each other anymore. I talk to women who feel like having sex or whatever feels like a chore to them. And if you're in that, stop it. Right. Stop it for all sorts of reasons, either by figuring out what it is that needs to be fixed or figuring out that this is no longer something that we want to triage. Because staying in a marriage like that is,
nobody wants that on either side of it. Nobody wants a partner that's not willing to be or, excited to be in an intimate situation. Yeah.
Well, and I think also, you talk about the glazing and it's like, yes, physically, but also in all of the other ways too. We've talked about that with where we are in our careers right now or where we are in different things in life and being able to be one another's loudest cheerleaders and biggest fans. That's part of the glazing, and if you're not doing that and you're just being like a roommate who pays half the bills, stop. You can get a roommate that you don't have to suck their dick.
So just so we're clear on that, the actual literal sense, we're still sucking dick. The other part of it, all the other stuff that goes along with it, biggest cheerleader, that's the glazing part of it. Okay. Okay. So just so
Thank
we're
God you're
straight.
educating me. Okay. So all of the things, right?
So all the things.
But I think that's really important. And how do you think once you get to this place where you're not in that, how do you get back to that?
Right.
No, I'm asking you. That's a direct question. That's a direct question of how do you figure out what's broken and how to get back to a place where you actually want to go shoulder to shoulder out towards the world and take on the world instead of, having your weapons armed at each other.
Energy is everything, and most of us are spending it like drunk gamblers at a Vegas blackjack table. My book is built around one simple but powerful tool, quantifying your energy so you know exactly where it's going and how to get more of it back. Think of it as a manual for your soul's fuel tank. If you're tired of running on empty, this book will show you how to fill back up. and keep yourself in the game long enough to actually win. Get your copy of the Life Hack Playbook on Amazon or on the podcast website, letsgetnakedpodcast.com.
Well, 100%. It goes back to personal accountability, right? It takes two to tango for the good and for the bad, and you can't engage properly with your partner if you're not honest with yourself about your part in what's going on. And so the first thing one needs to do is they need to understand, hey, why is this not enjoyable to me? Is it something that there's a disconnect in the attraction here? Is there a disconnect in some sort of action someplace? Like, what is this that makes me not want to engage or be reluctant or unwilling or not wanting to engage fully, right? What's the missing component? And how can I fix that, right? That's, if I even want to fix that, right? Do I want to fix that? Do I not want to fix that? And if the answer is yes, then, we need to go back to some of that savage self-awareness and figure out what that is so that we can address it properly.
Well, and having like super deep conversations with stuff. So, having an understanding where you have a come to Jesus with your partner that says, hey, we're in the weeds right now, and is this something that you want to fight for? And if it is, then put together a plan for that. Don't just let one more mediocre fucking day go that robs you of a life that you could be living your best life in.
Well, and understanding that even those deep conversations are super vulnerable. They're even more vulnerable than physical intimacy is.
Agreed.
And it's daunting, right? And it goes back to fear a lot of times also, and you have to get past the fear, and you have to put it down, and you have to get vulnerable, and you have to have that conversation with your partner and come from some place of your own truth so that you can get to whatever the outcome is going to be, right? Without fearing that outcome, right? Don't be afraid of it, because if you're afraid of what may or may not happen, you're not going to have the ability to be genuine in those conversations. Right. You have to put the fear aside and just go all in.
Well, and if you're afraid of the outcome, right? Like, because some people are saying, okay, well, what if we get divorced? What if? Right? Okay, and that's and that could absolutely happen, and people get divorced every single day.
Every day.
But the worst outcome is that you stay in the same day that you have on repeat.
Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day, right? A shitty Groundhog Day. Because I'm telling you that with work put into your marriage, like treat your marriage like it's its own entity, right? And then both of you agree that you're going to put work in, whatever that looks like. Right. You won't be sad about it. It's the coolest thing on the fucking planet when you can stand shoulder to shoulder with your partner, faced out at the world, taking on things instead of, battling each other, which I think is what happens in a lot of relationships. Is you get to this place where you don't even know how you're there. You're pointing fingers, you're battling each other, you're keeping score with this invisible ink, which, nobody fucking wants that. So it's like either get to this place where you say, this is dead, right? Our marriage has flatlined, and what can we do to uncouple in a dignified way, right? So that we don't tear each other down. I watch as this happens, and it's like, this is not rocket science. A lot of people get divorced. Let's figure out how to do it without literally destroying one another's lives.
Sure.
Because when you watch other people go through that, that's terrible.
It is.
Or what are we going to do to be able to resuscitate this and breathe some life back into this? And that starts with baby steps. I think back to things that we did in reviving our own marriage when we felt like we were in trouble, and doing things that are small baby steps to let the other person know that we're thinking about them, or being vulnerable enough to be playful or cute or whatever that looks like. Does that feel super vulnerable? Yeah, I've never felt more naked in my entire life than standing in front of you trying to fight for our marriage.
Sure.
And I look back at that and think, I can't imagine anything that's more important than doing the work to do that. Because your entire family looks at that. We all of our kids look at us and say what great examples we are for what a marriage should be, because we're willing to be vulnerable, not only with each other, but with other people about what it takes to actually make that work. And I think, we put all of this work and energy and effort into things that don't matter so much, but really the foundation of your life, if you're in a marriage and have kids and like all of that, is your marriage, and yet that's the thing that you put the least amount of energy and effort into. So it's like, it is crazy. And so it's like, let that be the public service announcement that it is. prioritize where you put your energy to what is important to you. And if your family staying together is important to you and you're not actively putting in work into your marriage, you're missing it. Don't act surprised when fucking somebody comes and serves you papers.
Yep.
You know, because
Sure.
it's that true. You know, so if you're not having a weekly date night, and it doesn't have to be a money thing, right? It can be go for a fucking walk. But figure out what you need to do to be putting into your partner so that your actions align with your intentions of your marriage being the most important thing.
For sure.
And that's all we're going to say about that.